we kicked off the show in a awesome way to get the fans going, get everyone going with, singing Judas in My Mind, man. Like the crowd keeps getting louder and louder singing along with Chris Jericho. Man, what a perfect way to kick things off. You hype it up, then you suck out all the energy as soon as MJF comes out and starts getting on commentator and rips up that sign from a fan, and then just gets the most heat that you can get on anywhere. So, and then we saw it after the match too. But, going into this match, this rivalry that's been years, decades in the making between these two, I was pretty impressed with seeing Juventud, man. His high energy stuff. I mean, the chop battles between these guys was pretty epic for a lot of stuff. And, I've said it last week and I'm saying it this week, Jericho is taking a lot of these rough bumps, man. He's taken, more than I think he needs to take at this stage in his career and this stage in the growth of AEW. I'm kind of surprised.
Well, I mean, I get where you're coming from, and we saw a trend that's been happening in these labors of Jericho where even commentary pointed it out, man, that he is just a battle-tested warrior, man, and he's been going at it. You could tell that these labors of Jericho are really starting to take their toll. I mean, you had both of his arms damaged tonight. You could see he was starting to get just you could tell Jericho was starting to tap into those reserves just to keep up with Hoovy. And like you said, I mean, the juice was loose, man. Like Juventud looked like he still could go.
Absolutely.
It was a lot of fun to see him kind of push the pace a little bit in this one. And Jericho, with the stipulation of having to finish the match with a move off the top rope, really pushed him outside of his box. And, we've seen Jericho embrace more of a, submission / brawler technique as he's gone into this chapter of his career. A lot different offensive arsenal from than his days as the Lionheart back in the day when he was fighting Juventud. So you got to see the growth of Jericho, and that's the thing I think that they're leaning into here, SPD. I think that they recognize this is an ode to Jericho's career, right? This is very similar to that, like the list of Jericho, like where you get to see the different chapters of this man's career and his growth. And as he continues to get closer and closer to that battle with MJF, which I know we're excited about, you see those tolls wearing on him. And I think that's why they're pushing Jericho to these limits. Because you got to see later on in the show tonight, they talked about it, SPD. Jericho's going to be a commentator on Rampage.
Right.
Who knows if that's going to be the permanent 4-man team for Rampage or not, or if it's just kind of for the special debut episode. Certainly a lot of buzz around that. And with these tolls, these labors of Jericho, I wouldn't be surprised to see Chris kind of being featured more in that role, right? In a commentator's role, SPD. And I think that's maybe why he's going on as hard as he's been in these labors. He's been going all out and giving us everything that's in the tank because he recognizes that things are starting to come to an end. I'm very curious to see where how this plays out. I know it bums you out, but MJF seems intent on making you miserable right now. And he's, him coming out after the match, having Wardlow, do those.
I love this photo.
What a great, that's MJF in a nutshell.
That would be us right there doing that.
That would be.
The shades and all.
That's a perfect picture, actually. I love that pic. But that's the thing. MJF comes out post-match. Jericho gets the win over Juventud. And honestly, with that super Judas effect off the top rope, what an awesome move by Jericho. That seems like that needs to be part of his arsenal.
Take down MJF with it.
Absolutely incredible. It was phenomenal to see that. But the post-match, you got to see it here. Wardlow left him all laying. He had it wasn't just content on putting Jericho down. He also beat down Juventud post-match. And MJF was miserable and insufferable on the mic as always.
Right.
SPD, as an Inner Circle mark and as a Jericho-aholic, how are you feeling heading into next week, knowing that the labors of Jericho now Jericho, now that he beat Juventud, and he's been able to survive Nick Gage and get past the chairman. He's going one-on-one with the War Dog, and MJF's going to be involved. That's it's stacked against your guy Jericho right now, man.
I think we'll have, Sammy come into play with this because, didn't he say at any of his matches? So maybe Juventud comes back to help after what Wardlow did. So
that would make sense.
And then that's set up for a tag match or something, to kind of stretch it out till the ultimate labor.
Sense.
And, I guess we got some clarification that I wasn't aware of, that MJF is going to be the 5th labor if he does. I thought he had to go through 5 and then get to MJF. And so
a lot of people thought that too. Yeah, so, you weren't alone.
That way we can have Chris heal up a little bit before All Out if they do stretch that out. They have that tag match with
Luby. Like that. Kind of
yeah. And then you can just milk, because we have 4 Dynamites left until All Out, and we have this many matches set.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy to think?
It is, dude.
This many matches in a sold-out arena where we're going to be in Chicago. But, both the last week and this week, Jericho, I think, only got like 20% offense, man. He was taking abuse after abuse after abuse, and he was taking some heavy bumps. But when MJF came out after the fact, and on the commentary calling everyone in Jacksonville fat walruses flapping like seals, I about died laughing right there. But this was the second half of the match was much better than the first, in my opinion. I felt like it was a little slow start, but then ended really strong, and then had a great story and an arc at the end, and then continued to see what we're going to get looking forward to next week. And we only have 3 matches announced for next week, which we'll probably get 3 more, which is very exciting. A huge week for AEW next week. But all in all, it'll be interesting to see how this does end. I know we talked about it on Friday Night Flights and Fights, and I still can't imagine this being a MJF putting him down a pasture like we saw kind of like Malachi Black or something, or, do you have two
legends
that really paved the way and started this company? All of a sudden the book is closing this early. I don't know.
It's hard to say, right? Because, I mean, Cody still certainly seems like he's in his prime, but there's a lot of – we don't know all the things, as Cody hinted. We don't know all the opportunities. We don't know all the things that with our interview with QT Marshall, we got to see a little bit about what these guys do behind the scenes, and so many different responsibilities and roles. I can only imagine the pressure, the multifaceted role that Cody is playing in AEW. Right. He got emotional in his interview, so you can see, man, especially with this influx of talent, man. SPD, right. There's a lot of talent in AEW right now. Perhaps AEW is going to try to force to make room for some of this talent. I mean, we're hearing not only the Andrades and Malachi Blacks that made a big statement tonight, both those guys. Yeah. But you're hearing the rumors of CM Punk. You're hearing the rumors of Daniel Bryan. People are talking about, Bray Wyatt, Adam Cole. I mean, the buzz is around AEW. So, you never know what is in store, what AEW has planned for us. That said, I think let's focus just on next week's matchup: Wardlow versus Jericho. Yeah. My pick for breakout star of the year, the War Dog. I know it's already in August, and maybe this next half of the year, basically the last quarter of the year, War Dog is unleashed, because we've been calling for it, man. Whenever you get to see this guy in action, his offense is just absolutely brutal. The F10 that he delivered tonight post match, and I don't know about you, but I'm loving the thumbs up, thumbs down out of the War Dog. I'm loving that. That's when you take casualties.
That's the casualty there for sure. Man, that is a brutal. I mean, we've seen him do it on Dark and Elevation, where he literally has sent in a body bag in the funeral for some of these wrestlers with that move, and it's impressive stuff.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And then you compare, what we see out of the way that MJF has been on commentary, SPD, him being involved as a potential referee, being involved in that capacity against when Wardlow goes against Jericho, man, I mean, he's been very vocal about his criticisms against Aubrey Edwards, who's she's an untouchable in AEW. MJF has made it very clear that he's tired of her back and forth officiating. So
I know, I like that.
That he's going to be involved in the match itself. This is going to be very fitting as the most difficult of the labors for Jericho when you get to see Wardlow going against Jericho. And imagine, I mean, I know there's people out there who, with all the surprises that we've seen, man, you're going to Wardlow. But for us here at Dynamite Download, we said it when we were booking when we talked to Bonds about this on Friday night. How would you book it? Bring it home a little bit. We've got the detour. We got to see the Nick Gage. We got to see the Juventud. Now bring it home. This all stemmed from that blood feud of the Pinnacle and Inner Circle, and I think it makes a lot of sense. It's very fitting that you get to see MJF and Jericho going head to head, but with Wardlow being a key player in that. You got to remember Wardlow and MJF were members of the Inner Circle, folks.
That's true.
Playing off that heat, Wardlow's got some personal involvement in this too, right? Wardlow's got some skin in the game on this feud, so he's going to want to show out in this match against Jericho. I think that one's going to be a blast, and I think it makes a lot of sense to put him up against the War Dog. How I see that going, it'll be hard to see Wardlow lose to Jericho, but
cleanly at least. But yeah, I think it happened. You don't do this build without it happening, and he will. And maybe we have some kind of. I mean, we can dissect this on Friday a little bit deeper, but to keep things flowing. But I think we could have somehow Jericho make amends with Gage and Juventud, and somehow because MJF was talking so much smack about all of them, maybe they can turn on MJF ultimately because Inner Circle.
Nick Gage didn't get paid,
I don't like what he did with Mike Tyson, he made amends with them. So I think that there could be something to that. I mean, it's definitely a huge battle that you got to overcome with the Wardlow or the War Dog. I mean, he is essentially the gatekeeper in the Pinnacle. So